Hey everybody, what's up? This is Devin LaVore. And yesterday I talked about basically enduring and persevering in the vision that God has for your life, right? Well, today I want to talk about some things that will hinder your vision and the plan that God has for your life, if not completely mess it up, basically. So I'll be right back. Okay, well, let's start with the number one thing. And the number one thing, obviously, not to be overly religious, guys. If you guys know me at all, you know I'm not a religious person at all. But the number one thing has got to be sin. Sin is the number one thing that will mess up your will, the will of God for your life. And what do I mean by sin? I mean not doing what God wants you to do. You know God doesn't want you to do a thing and you just kind of head off into that lifestyle. It'll change everything that God has planned for you. I did a video on how I almost married the wrong girl on a part of the My Story series. And there was a guy that came into my life and said, hey man, if you marry this girl, your entire destiny is going to be changed. And it was going to be changed because I was going to bind myself to this person that would take my life in a direction that God just did not want it to go. So basically just that willfulness, that I'm going to do what I want to do type of thing, it'll mess up your vision, mess up God's plan for your life. So the number two thing is going to have to be doubt, right? I mean, if we're constantly wrestling with doubt and we're kind of getting some victory and we're gaining ground and our character is developing and we're growing in our faith and our confidence, that's one thing. But if we're just constantly overwhelmed by doubt and it's constantly causing us to quit, eventually we're going to quit quitting. You know what I mean? And so you got to battle that doubt, with the belief that that you have heard from God. Which leads to number three, which is you not hearing from God. I also did a video on 9 years of total deception and why I was completely deceived for 9 years is because I thought I had heard from God, but really I just didn't. I had not heard from God at all. And I was not willing to give that thing up. I was not willing to take what I thought I heard from God and lay it down and go, maybe I didn't hear from God. I don't know. And there's been other instances like that in my life as well. But it all boils down to me not wanting to release what I felt I heard from God. So I'm going to have to say the number four thing is going to have to be fear, right? Fear is a huge deal. Fear is just, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. I'm afraid of believing in this thing and it not happening and me being deceived and there's so much. Fear can just play on us from so many different angles, but basically what it will do is fear will cause us to shut down. Fear will cause us to not take a risk because at the end of the day, faith is a 4-letter word spelled R-I-S-K. You're taking a risk. You know what I mean? You're stepping out. And that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid there's not going to be provision there. There's not going to be, we're going to step out and do this thing and then we're going to look stupid. We're going to feel dumb for believing. It's like, why did I give into that? And, so it's like fear can play on us from many different angles. And if it causes us to stop, then the will of God will not happen in our lives because we're not moving. Number 5, negativity. Now, how is negativity different from doubt and fear? Well, it's completely different because a negative person is only going to see all the problems, not the possibilities. A negative person is going to, no matter how many times you bring a solution to solve the problem, they're going to start nitpicking the flaws in that solution. And you say, okay, well, why don't we try this and fix this part of the solution? Well, then there's this problem and that problem with it, so it's not going to work. Basically, with a negative person, nothing's ever going to work for them anyway. So then God himself cannot provide an answer that will help a negative person become a positive person, that will help him become a possibility thinker. They're thinking of they're failure thinkers, they're defeat thinkers, they're negativity thinkers. And it's like, you know, you can't, there's no need for you to even try to get a vision from God, because you're just going to see all the problems with it anyway. You see what I'm saying? Negative thinkers sit on the bench of life and then criticize all the other players, you know, because negativity is very, very close friends with criticism and sarcasm and all the other isms that are just, you know, so it's like, if you're going to always see the problems in everything, you're not going to make it. You're not even going to start. So then the question is, so Devin, how do I combat all those things? Well, the opposite, you know, what's the opposite of sin? The opposite of sin is submitting yourself to God and saying, God, you do whatever you want to do it with me. You know, what's the opposite of doubt? The opposite of doubt is to believe. You know, the opposite of not hearing from God is hearing from God. You know, the opposite of negativity is to be confident in what God has already spoken through his own written word, that he will accomplish those things in your life and that he does have a plan for you, and it is awesome. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I can make a list of like 15, 20 different things that will hinder you. And the bottom line is you have to walk in what's called the opposite spirit. And when you do that, man, you're going to soar. You're going to get there. So that's my top 5, guys. And I hope that you are blessed by that, encouraged by that, and that it equips you and helps you in your walk with God. So until next video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later.